picture ID of you?
For what? I mean, detained or anything?
No, you're not being detained, but you've made yourself
Good,
part of this traffic stop.
No, I'm observing the traffic stop.
Who are you?
I'm a journalist gathering content for a story.
I'm sorry?
Journalist gathering content for a story.
For a story? What kind of story?
Just a story I'm working on.
What's the name of your story? What company do you work for?
Hold on a second.
What's your name? Oh, I see. You're one of those kind of guys. Okay. Well, do me a favor. Stand over here in the shade.
All right.
But don't stand behind this deputy while he's conducting.
That's why I was standing more over there when you guys
pulled in. Well, actually, you were,
so.
sir. So stand over there, like I asked you to, so you're not behind this deputy while he's conducting business.
I'll stand over here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay,
yes, sir.
Now you're trespassing, so they want you to leave.
Okay, you went and got her to trespass me. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not asking you. I'm not going to argue or dispute with you. I'm telling you, leave and leave right now.
Leave and leave right now. Can I get your name and badge number before I go?
Leave and leave right now.
Can I get your name and badge number?
No, sir. You can leave and leave right now.
No, sir. You can leave and leave right now. No, sir. You can leave and leave right now.
Leave and leave right now.
Can I get your name and badge number?
No, sir. You can leave and leave right now.
Okay. I'll tell my wife to move it. I'll move over here on the public right away.
All right, sir. That's it. I'm done telling you. You're under arrest. Back. Put them behind your back.
Get back there.
Don't resist me. You don't have to tell me your name, and I'm not going to ask you again.
I'm not resisting. Why am I under arrest?
For obstructing justice and trespassing.
You told you to leave several times. You failed to do so. You told you to leave several times.
I don't understand why you're being difficult, sir.
I'm just documenting the traffic stop.
You're not related to media. You don't have a public relations card with a media card.
Actually, I do. I'm with photography. It's not a crime.
Yes, it is a crime. Spread your feet. I'm not going to ask you. Don't pull away from me. Don't resist me in any way. Resistance will be futile and you will get hurt.
I'm not going to resist.
If you don't tell your wife to cooperate, she'll go to jail.
Oh my God! Look what you did to my phone, man.
I didn't do that to your phone, sir. You did that to your phone.
Trying to stop.
You hold him?
I'm not going to resist. I'm fine.
I know you're not. All right, sir. Watch your back.
Okay. What's the best way to go in?
Butt first.
Butt first. Okay.
You will be booked in as John Doe. And because you're not cooperating, you'll be booked in as John Doe, and you'll sit in jail for 48 hours until they determine who you are by your fingerprint. I'm not asking you again. I've already asked you once. You want to play that whole bullshit with me? Go right ahead and do it at the jail. You can kiss my ass. That's what you can do.
How did he interfere with the traffic stop?
Well, again, it's almost 4 years ago, so I'll go off my best of my recollection, but
Please do.
he did something to cause Deputy Cook to stop his investigation.
He stopped him from his investigation. It's called a camera, you frickin' moron.
Or he interfered somehow to cause him to stop his traffic stop to call for a backup unit. So, therefore, he interfered. That's an obstruction.
So recording from a safe distance, holding accountability, documenting the traffic stop, that's an obstruction?
That's an obstruction.
And to the best of your knowledge, as you sit here today, the only thing of which you're aware, as we sit here today, that Mr. Gray did or omitted to do, that prompted Deputy Cook to call for backup was photograph and or video record Deputy Cook's traffic stop. Is that correct?
Yes.
You're not aware of Mr. Gray having done anything else to prompt Deputy Cook to call for backup. Is that right?
Correct.
And yet, your testimony is also that it sounds to me, correct me if I'm wrong, because Mr. Gray's photography and videography prompted Deputy Cook to call for backup, Mr. Gray committed the crime of obstructing the traffic stop. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so, again, I just want to be absolutely crystal clear. Your testimony is that Mr. Gray obstructed the traffic stop,
Yes.
and he did so by photographing and/or video recording Deputy Cook.
His actions caused him to stop his traffic stop, interfered with his traffic stop, which is what the obstruction is.
And the actions to which you refer that were undertaken by Mr. Gray were photography and/or videography, right?
I'm going to assume being too close to it also, which is what made him nervous.
Your testimony was that Mr. Gray was 35 feet from him. Is that correct?
Approximately, yes.
And so by photographing and/or video recording Deputy Cook from 35 feet away, Mr. Gray committed the crime of obstructing Deputy Cook's traffic stop. Is that right?
Yes.
You serious?
Yes.
Okay. After arriving on scene that day, did Deputy Cook express any concerns to you about any risk of harm posed by Mr. Gray to Deputy Cook?
No. Whatever Mr. Gray was doing before I got there caused concern to Deputy Cook, which is why he called for backup.
And Deputy Cook, in calling for backup, conveyed the basis for his concern to you, right?
Yes.
And the basis for his concern was that Mr. Gray was taking photographs, right?
Yes.
Deputy Cook didn't convey any other details to you about what Mr. Gray was doing, right?
I don't think he did, yes. Correct.
Okay. You asked Mr. Gray to move closer to the building.
Yes.
What happened next?
I made contact with the director or manager of the building and asked her if she wanted him removed from the property.
So what you're really saying is you didn't like him recording, so you went and you solicited a trespass. Unreal. I mean, seriously, think about this, guys. If he's acting this way in broad daylight, on camera, can you imagine getting pulled over by him at midnight, off camera?
Asked her if she wanted him removed from the property.
And what did she say?
Yes.
And what did you do then?
I went back and talked to Mr. Gray and told him now he's trespassing and he had to leave the property.
Did Mr. Gray exit the private property onto and enter the right-of-way?
Yes.
And did he do that prior to you arresting him?
Yes.
And then what happened?
I arrested him on the right of way in front of this traffic stop.
So when you effected the arrest, you and Mr. Gray were on the right-of-way.
Yes.
Is it your understanding that Mr. Gray committed a crime by leaving his van in the parking lot after you issued him a warning to leave?
I believe it was part of the trespass crime, yes.
So someone can be subject to arrest not only by refusing to leave after having been issued a trespass warning, but also by leaving property, personal property like a van, on someone else's property after having been issued a trespass warning. Is that your understanding of the law?
No, I don't think just leaving personal property on someone else's property is a crime. I think if you're trespassing and you're told to get in your van and leave, and you just walk away and leave your van with your wife and kid in it, that's part of that element for that particular incident.
Come on, clown. Are you serious? You think it's obstruction? Because he followed your directives, he got off the property after you solicited a trespass, but because he didn't get in his van and drive away, he chose to stay as a free American and record and hold accountability. You now think it's obstruction? I mean, what do you think? Because there's still a van on the property, there's still a mom with her child on the property, that somehow the other officer could not finish the traffic stop? Come on.
And I want to make sure I understand you.
Okay.
Okay. Your testimony is that even if he had immediately departed the property and proceeded on to, say, the right-of-way, but still left his van in the parking lot, he could have still been subject to arrest for trespassing after warning because of the fact that he left his van in the parking lot.
Not just because he left the van in the parking lot.
Why else then?
I guess the question would be, why leave your van with your child and your wife in it when you could just get in the van and take the van, your property, off of the property that you're being trespassed from and alleviate the problem? I guess that would be the question.
It's not the question.
Well, I mean, I know it's
not
the question, but to
The
answer your
question
question is no, it's not a crime to just leave property somewhere.
Okay. And that is the question.
Okay, yes.
My question is,
No, it's not a crime to just leave it there.
it's only a crime if he refuses to remove his person
Yes.
from private property.
So it's part of the trespass crime, but then now we go back to the obstruction crime. If I tell him, take your van and your wife and your child and leave this property that you're being trespassed from verbally, and you refuse to do that, now doesn't that go back to now he's not complying with that? I mean...
And I want to make sure I
Right.
understand.
If he would have just left, problem would have been solved.
Okay. But he didn't want to leave.
Correct.
He wanted to photograph the traffic stop, right?
Right, which we told him he could.
Yeah.
And we told him where he could do that, but he didn't want to do that either.
Yeah. And you told him that he could do that closer to the building, right?
Yes.
Closer to the private property,
Yes.
further into the private property from which you then
Trespassed him from.
trespassed him from.
Correct.
Right.
I believe if he would have complied and gone up on the sidewalk by the building to video all the video he wanted or photographs, there would have been no situation. I believe if after he was told he was trespassing, if he would have got in his van and drove away, there would have been no situation.
If he would have got in his van and drove away, there would have been no situation. If he would have got in his van and drove away, there would have been no situation.
If he would have got in his van and drove away, there would have been no situation. I believe if he didn't get out and walk into the grass there and cause some kind of fear or some kind of concern with Deputy Cook, I wouldn't have even had to come to the scene.
Of course you would not have had to come to the scene if you would have drove away. That's what you guys wanted. Here's an idea, since you're a sergeant. How about next time one of your deputies calls and says there's a guy with a camera recording you from 35 feet away, how about you just tell him to go back to work and just ignore him? I mean, are you feelings enforcement or law enforcement? Jesus.
So if he would have just I don't want to say, if he would have just been a nice guy, and if I said, hey, sir, can you just go stand up there and take all the video you want? But he didn't want to. He wanted to prove his point, and here we are.
If he had been a nice guy,
Yes.
you told him that he can kiss your ass, right?
No, I didn't tell him that.
You can kiss my ass. That's what you can do.
No, I didn't tell him that.
You didn't say that?
I said it, but I didn't tell it to him. That was after the fact. That was his recording still going.
Okay. But Mr. Gray was the guy who was not a nice guy that day.
That is correct.
Okay.
The time is 12:42. That concludes the deposition of Brian Stoll. We are now off record.
Thank you, Jesus!
Well, there you have it, guys. The 2017 deposition of Brian Stoll from the Brevard County Sheriff Department. Brian Stoll, if you're out there watching this video, you must be proud of yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back. I mean, wow. What a story to tell all the other guys at the department, how you ripped a family man away from his wife and kid while traveling and threatened to lock him up for 48 hours. Guys, this is the kind of clowns we need off the street. He doesn't need to be reprimanded. He needs to be fired. Unfortunately, he's worked his way up to sergeant. That shows you how corrupt our system is. Anyways, leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Pass or fail. You be the judge. Make sure to pound that like button. Make sure to follow or subscribe. Show your support by sharing these videos. Last but not least, no bootlicking. Thanks for watching the video. We'll see you on the next one.